Well, we'll keep an eye out for all those kids coming up. And we turn now to our last highlight of the show, as it's Heritage taking on Phoebus in a matchup of big importance in the Peninsula District, as both these teams trying to stay near the top of the standings.
Two powerhouses headed towards the 4A South playoffs, and early on it's Marcus Van Hook with the touchdown catch over one of the best defensive backs in the state, Robbie Robinson. He hauls it in from Malik DeLoach. Extra points good. Heritage with the 7-0 lead midway through the first quarter.
Yeah, Heritage trying to register its first victory over Phoebus since 2000, as that was a state title team. And the Phoebus offense is going to look to make something happen, led by quarterback Justin Wright, whose pass is going to be incomplete, as a nice play made by the defender for Heritage, as that was Cavani Francois.
Francois, a guy we see on both sides of the ball making plays this year for the Hurricanes. On 4th and goal, it's a fumble for Phoebus, but guess what? Sometimes those bounces go your way if you're Phoebus. Jacques Moore-Roberts hopping on the loose pigskin for the touchdown, and Phoebus is on the board. Extra point for the Phantoms will be good, so we're tied up at 7 early on in the second quarter.
Moore-Roberts is always good for Phoebus if he can recover a fumble. So game tied at 7. DeLoach having his own ball security issues as he loses the football, and picking it up for the Phantoms is Chris Wilson. And the Phantoms have a chance now to take the lead with great field position.
This was a hard-hitting, excellent ball game, Chris. As you saw, each team turned the ball over 3 times, so a little sloppy, but there were some key plays. And you see right here, right before the half, Phoebus with a chance to get the lead, and it's intercepted in the end zone by Brandon Jones, the defensive back for the Hurricanes.
A huge play and momentum, as Phoebus could have put a score on the board going into halftime, but second half action, it's Malik DeLoach again finding trouble in the form of Chris Wilson, who is making a name for himself in this one.
He was a force all afternoon long at Darling Stadium, and now it's an interception. Leaping up for it is Marcus Van Hook, and not only is it a pick, Chris, he's going to return it 56 yards deep into Phoebus territory. Just the momentum swing that Coach George Massenberg wanted.
And when it's a tight game, any break will help, as that would lead to Malik DeLoach looking downfield. And on the sideline, the pass is going to be hauled in for the touchdown as Cavani Francois comes up with the reception from DeLoach.
DeLoach's second touchdown pass. Again, he was the backup quarterback earlier this year to Jeremiah Boyd, the sophomore, now inserted in the starting lineup and paying dividends for Heritage, up by 7 with 6 minutes and change to go in the fourth quarter. Phoebus trying to come back like they did the past 2 weeks against Woodside and Bethel, and it'll be a passing play here over to Joe Addison.
Yeah, Justin Wright trying to lead the drive as he finds Addison downfield. Clock running under 2 minutes now. Still down a score, and it's going to be Robbie Robinson out of the Wildcat from 2 yards out. He's into the end zone for the score, and the extra point, very important, is up and true, and we're tied at 14. Looks like we might be going to overtime.
Looks like we might, Chris. It's a little wrinkle by Jeremy Blunt putting Robinson in there for Wildcat is paying off, but one thing Phoebus did not want to do was kick it to the do-everything star for Heritage, the James Madison commit, Dimitri Holloway, and he gets it done. 68 yards in this kick return to the 20-yard line, and the Hurricanes have a chance to win this in regulation.
Yeah, Holloway's first highlight of the package, but it's a big one, is he's got them in prime field position to win the game, and it's going to be the running attack of Trayshawn Shackelford, who's going to get him inside the 3-yard line, and from a yard out, it's going to be on 1st and goal. Holloway into the end zone for the touchdown.
He got it done at linebacker on the return and then running the football for the go-ahead touchdown for the Hurricanes. Phoebus needs to get one miracle player to win it. It's going to be the double pass. Addison from right, deep down the field, but there to intercept it is Marcus Van Hook with his second pick of the fourth quarter.
What a victory for Heritage, and Coach Massenberg on his 35th birthday, he gets the victory over Phoebus as they lose for the first time in the district this year. 20-14 your final score for the Hurricanes. Marcus Van Hook, as we mentioned, a touchdown receiving and 2 interceptions on defense for Heritage. For Phoebus, led by Robbie Robinson on a touchdown on the ground, and Elijah Nelson, 4 catches, 62 yards receiving.
Heritage now 8-1, bouncing back well from that loss to Bethel. Speaking of the Bruins, they were victorious 24-19 over their Peninsula District rival DENBIGH. Quentin Lee with 2 touchdown runs, 142 yards, and Darryl Brown with a 92-yard kickoff return for a touchdown, his 3rd this year.
As you like to say, Matt, what can Brown do for you? And he's certainly done a lot for the Bruins this year. Norcom and a squeaker over Booker T. Washington, 14-13 the final score, as Riddick has a game-winning 55-yard touchdown reception. Charles Wiggs, a quiet night for him, only 55 yards on the ground for Norcom. And for Booker T. Washington, Brandon Gaddy had a touchdown rushing for the Bookers.
Larry Archie's Greyhounds actually trailed 13-0 in that game, but now 8-1 before they play Lake Taylor in a couple weeks. Also in the Eastern District, Norview 38-21 over Granby. EJ Faison, terrific yet again, 115 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, also a touchdown run with 97 yards rushing, while the Comets stay winless. But Justice Moore had 196 yards passing, a touchdown through the air, and a touchdown on the ground.
Churchland winners over Maury 21-7 as the Truckers get the victory. Corey Goss 15-27, 205 yards and a touchdown passing for the Truckers. In defeat, Maury led by Delvion Little, 13 carries, 82 yards and a touchdown on the ground.
It was comeback week. Maury actually led 7-0 in that ball game before the Truckers got going. Private school shootout, it was Bishop Sullivan 64-42 over Atlantic Shores. If you liked offense, you loved this ball game. George Wahi with 3 touchdown catches, a kick return score, a pick 6. Kevin Hicks had 3 touchdown runs, 119 yards, while Atlantic Shores got 167 yards passing from Ryan Chamberlain and 109 yards rushing from Breon Britt.
Defense optional in that game. Hampton Roads Academy defeating Isle of Wight 34-18 as Brian Hart had 143 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground for Academy. In the loss for Isle of Wight, Carson Robinson, 23 carries, over 100 yards and a touchdown rushing.
Brian Hart actually named that best of 757 basketball all-camp team, so kudos to him. Our Cox Sports Report Virginia Trophy Player of the Week, kudos to Dimitri Holloway of Heritage. The linebacker headed James Madison had a touchdown run, a key 68-yard kickoff return, and oh, by the way, he dominated on defense with 7 tackles, 3 sacks, a couple pass breakups for the Hurricanes, who now look to be maybe that number 2 seed in Group 4A South.
And it looks like the Dukes got a good one in Holloway as we take a look at the power rankings in the 6A South as Ocean Lakes and Oscar Smith right there at the top. No surprise there. Cox and Bayside representing the Beach District at 3 and 4, and Kickotan, Western Branch, Woodside, and Bethel rounding it out. Matt, anything surprising there?
Well, Cox and Bayside, it'll get settled who's that number 3 seed most likely. It's those two square off this coming week on Halloween night. In 6A North, Westfield and Centerville, 2 teams that figure to compete for the state title, are right there at the top. Watch out for South County, who's number 3. Battlefield, a team that won a state championship just a few years ago, the number 6 seed.
And in the power rankings in 5A North at the top, it's Tuscarora at number 1, Massaponax number 2, Stonebridge and Briar Woods 3 and 4, Falls Church, Broad Run, Wakefield, Potomac, North Stafford, and PH Ashland and Mountain View tied at the bottom.
Briar Woods is 4th. They actually lost to LC Bird in the 5A state championship a year ago. In 5A South, who might have to go through Bird and some of those Richmond teams? Well, Salem's the number 1 seed, Indian River is 2, Norview is 3. Keep an eye out for Hampton and Green Run. They're in the 4-5 game, likely to play each other in that first round.
Well, man, we're counting down to the last weeks of the season. It should be an exciting finish.
Yeah, 2 weeks left in the regular season, and who knows what will happen as you've got teams trying to get into the playoffs and a lot of the powerhouse is solidified. So until next time, for Chris Park, I'm Matthew Hatfield. We'll see you right here on Sports Report.